go above that, unless, that Marine has a debilitated Mars. But the one who has excelled Mars will go out, complete his mission, and if he dies in it in honor, he will do that. And this Mars, has the most tremendous willpower of the physical, because of the fact this Mars, it is where how the debilitated Mars has the willpower of the mind, the cleverness. This Mars has the willpower of the body, of the soul. Everything is well dignified to follow the law and break through any kind of barriers and walls. So what happens is these people, through a lot of struggle, and because this is the nature of Saturn and Mars. Mars is a soldier. Soldier's destiny is what? To fight. Saturn represents what? Especially Capricorn. Struggle, law and order, and things with time. So these people gain rank with time, especially after the age of 28. However, if they were to gain authority before the age of 28, where the mind is not mature enough, because remember, your mind really matures according to the Vedic clock after 28 years. Before that, if they become, head of some company, or, they become leaders of some sort of a society, they can become very egoistic and arrogant, because they then feel like that they're unbeatable. Nobody can match their sheer willpower, and they develop this natural arrogance about them. But once Mars has struggled and goes past the maturity age, they are far more calmer, more diplomatic, and they're very understandable. And they're those true, those true leaders who actually help the lower ranking people come up than themselves wanting to go up higher. And because of the fact they help other get better above him, they notice his quality and they automatically, take him to other heights. So this person, with this Mars, has absolute willpower to succeed in life. But mainly, Mars in the 10th house is more powerful than, like having Mars excelled in, like, the 4th house. But again, that energy of excelled Mars is there. So whatever the 4th house, let's say, represents, real estate, ground, parental home, you're going to be a very, dignified child. You're going to be very law-abiding. You'll follow your parents' rules and regulation, and you will have the courage to be the best real estate agent, to be the best builder out there, with utmost honesty and sincerity to look out for the other people. Okay? So guys, this was
house right below it, giving it a sturdy foundation. So think about the chakra centers. Saturn, Mars, and the Sun. So my Sun is in the 1st house of Aries, where it's exalted. My Mars is in Capricorn, where it also likes to be. Saturn Sagittarius isn't that great, but I'll tell you why it works for me after you listen to what he has to say about it. Once again.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're going to be doing Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius, and what happens when Saturn comes in the sign of Sagittarius in your horoscope. What is the sign of Sagittarius? Sagittarius represents your higher belief system. It represents the teachings of your guru. It represents higher philosophical thinking, higher philosophical learning, religious studies, religious higher academic kind of studies, master's degree, PhD, doctorate degree. It's anything that is of a higher system, higher class, like, privileged studies. It also represents your interaction and relationship to gurus, your interaction with the laws and order set by the society. Because it's not necessarily the 9th house, because 9th house is really the house of your gurus and your fathers and your teachers, but Sagittarius brings the quality of wanting to learn, brings the quality of wanting to preach, So wherever Sagittarius is placed, you're going to want to preach into that house. Okay? So then you bring Saturn here. Saturn is your restriction. Saturn is boundaries. Saturn is delay. Saturn is your organization skills. Saturn is your discipline. Saturn is your workaholicness, your repetitive job, your ability to work towards those things. Why? Because Saturn makes you work towards the things, towards a placement towards the place that he's placed in your horoscope, pretty much. Whether it's first house, second house, sixth house, 10th house, 11th house, he's going to make you want to work towards those things very hard, before it gives you any fruits. Saturn is a planet of social upbringing. He's not a social planet, but he's a one who wants to take care of the society, takes care of social well-being. So a very important phrase that comes to mind with this combination of two is social justice, or fighting for social injustice. So Saturn in Sagittarius makes a person, somebody who goes out and wants to, somebody who goes out and wants to, brings not just balance, but also, wants to bring balance into the injustice system of the society. And Saturn in Sagittarius, when he merges there is a very strong belief system in the rituals, in the religious learning, in the upbringing of your belief system. You're very disciplined towards those things. You're very serious towards those things. However, there's a bit of a narrow-mindedness with this. You're not one of those Wayne Dyer type of a philosophical preacher. You're not one of those people who believe in those such things quickly as spirit and consciousness and, your belief system of laws of attractions. No. Saturn is a very practical planet. Saturn, when he does something, he wants to do it very seriously. He wants to be very practical and logical about it. So what they want to do is they want to take the 9th house higher learning, 9th house higher belief system, and they want to go out in the world and they want to use that belief system to improve the world, to improve something in real, something that is practical. So if Wayne Dyer, somebody says that you believing in your soul and you believing in yourself will improve these conditions, Saturn and Sagittarius will be like, okay, so you're saying it's going to improve my things. Okay, so let's see. Right now it's 10:30 a.m. Will it be improved by tomorrow at noon? They're going to be like that. They're going to be like, no, I need results. Whatever you're teaching me, I need results. So obviously when it comes to academic learning, let's say if Saturn is the 9th house in Sagittarius, the academic learning will be there. They'll be very serious about their higher learning of master's degrees and PhD, especially if the condition of Jupiter is very good. But Saturn is known as a planet of blockage. Saturn is known as a planet of delay. The true philosophical side of life, the true understanding of life on an esoteric level, on a spiritual level, comes late in life. Till then, they're like, man, I don't care about astrology, numerology, feng shui, or tantricism. I need to know something that you can prove to me right now, so I can apply it. So I can apply it to my work. I can apply it into the society and gain something out of it. But as you know, sign of Sagittarius is a sign of preachinghood, because it represents the original 9th house. So these people make very good priests, rabbis, or any kind of a religious figure. Why? Because Saturn is a repetitive planet. He loves doing repetitive jobs. And in the 9th house of Sagittarius, he becomes a preacher of working hard, of strict religious learning, being conservative. So if you notice, if you even go to a Hindu temple every morning, the priest will do the same repetitive ritual. He will clean the shivling, or he will do the puja on all the statues and gods and goddesses in the temple before he opens the temple up, because it's him who has to initiate that first prayer, because he is the devotee of God. Saturn becomes good at that, because Saturn loves repetitive jobs. He loves unchanging jobs. He doesn't like too much change, sudden change. He wants slow-paced, repetitive work that slowly improves over time. So when it comes to preaching, when it comes to becoming a priest, this Saturn becomes very good at it. This Saturn will memorize the Bible because they will know, because it's everyday job that they have to do. But mainly though, if you really want to look at it, Sagittarius represents in society law and order, especially law, writing the law, because Jupiter is the one who writes the law, the knowledge of the law. So Saturn is the one who works at it. Saturn is the one who implements the law, wants to make sure that everybody's following the law and order, following the strict rituals of the society. So no matter what house this is placed in, that's where Saturn is going to bring a sense of belief system, a sense of their higher learning, and put it into practical use. It's all about practical use with Saturn. But after the age of 35, 36 is when Saturn starts to understand more about life. Because like Saturn is the furthest planet into the solar system. He can see everything. He sees everything as a whole. And so he sees the problem in Mars. He sees the problem on Earth. He sees the problem on Venus. And he just feels like, okay, I have this responsibility of making the solar system better. Same thing happens in this life, on the ground. Because as they say, as above, so below. So there's a heavy responsibility of following higher knowledge, rituals, religious learning, law. So Saturn brings this heavy responsibility towards these things. You feel a lot of burden in learning this philosophical knowledge. And in terms of like blockage and setting up boundaries, Saturn does put boundaries in your ability to go through that higher spiritual learning. He blocks it till your middle age, till at least the age of 38 or 36. In Sagittarius, especially if it's in the 9th house, your ability to learn higher things. So if you have this Saturn, let's say in the 9th house, in the sign of Sagittarius, then make sure you always look at the placement of Jupiter, where Jupiter is placed. Because Jupiter is he's the Lord of Sagittarius. He's the one who decides the rules for Saturn. So if Jupiter is exalted, he'll give you higher learning. And he'll make you very disciplined towards those organizations. And then Saturn is a sign of Sagittarius in the 9th house. Then it shows there's a blockage or delay, master's or PhD. He's going to make you want to struggle. He's going to make you work like no other. He's going to make your bachelor's degree seem like a kindergarten study because he's going to put that burden in you. Because Saturn, wherever he is, he puts the focus in there. He makes you work towards those things. Even an exalted Saturn will make you work towards those things. He'll make you work 18 hours a day towards those things. So his blockage and boundary comes into the 9th house or Sagittarius, which is the quality of the 9th house, meaning that you don't easily believe things like, religious learning or things like astrology. It takes time for you. But when you get it, when you build it, you stick to it. Because Saturn doesn't like change as much, and he does not like to change his work ethics, workable things. So he wants to do repetitive things and believe in those things. So if as a childhood you were brought up in a religious family, first in your early childhood it was very hard for you to grasp this religious things. But then slowly as you grew up and you found that repetitiveness in your family rituals, everyday rituals, you really became hardcore about it. And that's what Saturn does in Capricorn. That's what Saturn does in Sagittarius, right? So guys, this was my analysis of Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Saturn is placed and what conjunction and aspects it's having, check out the link below. Check out my books there, Astrology at the Speed of Light and Conjunctions at the Speed of Light. And
that was quite interesting, what he was saying. Now, important thing to know, with my Mars, I also have Neptune, which is walls of water, which is dreamies, which is, some people say occult, but more of like an astral, watery. It also has to do with addictions. So for the certain things that you heard about maybe Capricorn, Mars Capricorn, that may not really make sense to me, like especially like the law stuff, following the law and all that. And you're also hearing that with the Saturn part. And I've told everybody I've been to jail and I've done drugs. These are two things that are against the law, right? Well, Mars is with Neptune, which is fire and water. And then I got Saturn with Uranus, also in Sagittarius, which is, if Jupiter, if Zeus is, if Kronos is Zeus's dad, well then, Uranus would be Kronos' dad, would be Saturn's dad. So I got grandpa and daddy in the same fucking house. They're Saturn, both in Sagittarius. So I got order, restriction, but then I got, chaos itself, the father of creation, what's a good word for that? Like unstructured rebellion, stuff like that. Anyways, not that I pay too much attention to those planets, but it's just for some of the inconsistencies. What he says here a lot about Saturn not giving you the knowledge until your late 30s. Well, I'm starting to really get into, like I said prior to this, my prior video, I was into all those conspiracies, and it wasn't until the last year or so where I got so much clarity that it's like, oh, that's nonsense. It's nonsense. It's there to hold people back. Yet I can't know for sure if it was intentionally created to hold people back or not. Because there's a lot of people that are in my system, or systems like my system, that are intentionally going out there and pretending to be, and this is not about thunder wizard, but some of them pretend to be shaman, some pretend to be right-hand path, and they do everything in their power to scare people back to the church, just to empower the words they use. I've seen it. Divination has been revealed to me. I've done a bunch of different things. But anyways, so my Saturn, and what he says here about Saturn, not getting the knowledge till later, and not being so open-minded to spirit and all that. Well, not so much in my case. When I heard the law of attraction, and then I found ceremonial magic, it made a lot of sense to me right off the hop. And when I play what he says about my Pisces in the 12th house, you understand why. And the short answer to that is, when you have Jupiter in the 12th house, Jupiter becomes your guru. These people don't need gurus, stuff like that. And that's kind of the point of the whole show. So I'm going to play that one after this. But in the same sense, I have Saturn restriction, and then I have Uranus, which is to rebel. Saturn doesn't like rebellion. He likes order. But his dad is like the polar opposite. I have them in the same fucking house, Sagittarius, the higher learning house, Not necessarily completely the higher learning houses, because, there's a little bit of everything and everywhere. But so anyways, let's get to the Jupiter and Pisces, so you'll get the whole picture, because he also said in this one, it depends on where your Jupiter is. If your Jupiter is badly placed, Saturn's gonna, take hold. But if Jupiter is somewhere, because it's in that Sagittarius house, using his co-ruled or whatever has to do with Jupiter, because Jupiter is the higher learning. He expands higher learning and all that. So if Jupiter is in a house he likes being in, or is exalted in, rules, then I may not have to wait till 36 or 38. I might get this knowledge at, let's say, 34, and I might be able to use Jupiter as a guru, and then use Saturn's structure for the Sagittarius house from what I get from my higher learning that's expanded by Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, that's in between the worlds, not on the right or the left, in between. And I can take those, and then I can use Mars, his action and warriorness, to say, this is why people are wrong, and this is the organization of how you should do it the right way, and this is directly from the spirits above. That's what I gather from all this, but you tell me if that's what you hear.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're going to be doing our final episode of Jupiter through signs, and we're going to be doing Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. And what happens when Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces in your horoscope? Well, what is the sign of Pisces? The sign of Pisces represents imagination, imaginative ability, spirituality, your spiritual thoughts. Pisces represents our deepest, darkest intuition. So it represents psychic ability, your intuitive ability. It represents connection to the divine world. Okay, so Pisces is a very peaceful sign, because this sign is ruled by Jupiter himself. Now, most of you be thinking, oh no, Pisces is ruled by Neptune. No, those are the new things that I've come across. Like Pisces is ruled by this, and Uranus rules Aquarius, and you have Charon, and this planet, and that planet, and Pluto. And how many things are you going to fit in one horoscope? That's what I don't get. Like, they want to, my Charon is here, so this is happening. My Pluto is here, this is happening. This meteoroid is here, might as well add all the moons of Saturn and Jupiter as well, because they're further much closer than even Pluto, So leave most of the stuff out. Work with simplest things. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Okay, this is the feminine side of Jupiter. Jupiter is your guru. Jupiter is a teacher, and he teaches you the scriptural knowledge, which is religion, philosophy, the written scripture, and then there's divine knowledge, the motherly knowledge. This is why Pisces is a feminine sign, because this is the real divine knowledge. This has nothing to do with religion. This has to do with the absolute truth. What you think your religion is telling you may not be the absolute truth. You want to believe that because we grew up with this notion that whatever Krishna is saying or this is saying or Jesus is saying, that's what it is. But there's a bigger picture than that. The source picture. That's the final source placement. That's what Pisces is. So when Jupiter comes into this sign, he teaches you about divine love. He teaches you knowledge which doesn't require scripture, that doesn't require learning some philosophy or religion or set of principles. Jupiter in Pisces tells you, let your imagination flourish, go into meditation and get the knowledge from there, because that is the knowledge that is a universal knowledge. The divine intuition that you will get, like Parashara, who invented astrology, got this through his meditation. He tapped into the fourth dimension, fifth dimension. The beings of those dimensions told him these things, that your planet Saturn is doing this and Sun is doing that. This is what astrology is. These are the female, male signs. These are the components, the earth component, sky component. Everything was given to him through meditation, hardcore meditation, which is sign of Pisces and 12th house, because these are the two energies that go together. And this is why Jupiter here believes in teaching everybody equally, believes in that divine love and giving pure unconditional love to teach somebody something. And this is not like, I gave you a homework, you have to do this, the 9th house things, which is about remembering the law, remembering the scriptures, remembering religion, remembering the teachings of your gurus and teachers. No, this is like the natural learning, the natural knowledge that you get through your intuition, through your psychic ability, through your imagination. And that's why Jupiter is far more calm here. But Jupiter controls these two signs because Jupiter is the main guru. He is the main teacher. Whether he can be a religious teacher or a spiritual teacher. But this is why Jupiter controls these two signs. But through Pisces, you learn more through imagination, more through intuition, more through meditation, more through like isolated places like ashrams, like monasteries and temples. Not even temples, because temple will more be of 9th house thing. But something that is, let's go off religion, but embraces the divine religion, which is that oneness. So that's what Jupiter does in the sign of Pisces. And a woman who has this in her horoscope will attract a person who will be more towards spirituality, meditation, imaginative, reality, more than that Sagittarius reality, which is like religious scriptures and following strict rules and laws. No, you will have a very relaxed, very calm, imaginative, pure, divine type of a husband. So it's a very, very calm husband. Okay? Now, depending upon if it has aspects and conjunctions, then it'll differ what kind of husband you'll get, but that's the kind of husband you will get. Very spiritual, imaginative, artistic husband. And since Jupiter also represents classical music, classical art, your husband could be a classical singer, an artist, an abstract artist of like historical things. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Jupiter is placed and if it's...
Oh, shit. Gotta bring my candle here with me. See? Don't even need an incense holder. Anyways. I just tested the microphone on this little headset, and it worked pretty well, so... Shit. Moon. Alright, this is the west. Yeah, always put your appropriate candles where they go appropriately. See? This candle's for the moon, so I made a little piece of steel out of the moon. And there's very specific intention on there. And you guys know what it is, but it's carved on that candle, so everybody just watched it. Thanks for the energy. Anyways, so what you just heard about Jupiter is awesome for me. And this is not to brag. This is just to prove why maybe I go against somebody like Thunder Wizard so much. I don't know if it was the Capricorn one where he talked about the social justice warrior type person, which is what this Mars would do. But in the Jupiter one, he just said the Sagittarius or the Capricorn one would be more about Mars, would be more about rituals in your own temple, and that's what I do. So it might be has to do with my Mars. But he talked about when people are doing social injustice and injustice, and everybody wants everybody to learn, everybody learn equally. That's something I think I try to do, which is what I said yesterday. I'm going to try not to do as much, due to the fact that I don't think it's okay to keep taking another spiritual guru, teachers, videos, and crapping on them and telling them why they're wrong, just because he learned differently than I did. So he learned from another teacher, whereas I'm learning from Jupiter. And interestingly enough, and I didn't look this up yet, but I'm about to, and if this video isn't too long already, I will share the results of that search. But the person he named who invented, I don't know if it was astrology or Vedic astrology or when it was, but he named somebody in here who said he invented astrology, and he had Jupiter in Pisces, and he got the information through meditation of what all the correspondences, the initial correspondences, everybody who has become either a teacher or made books or went online and teach, such as Keras, astrology has added to those correspondences. And whether you think they're real or not, if you're one person who doesn't think it's real, but there's 100,000 other people who watch them and think they're accurate, well, do you think you're going to have better influence on the collective, or do you think those 100,000 people are going to have a better influence on the collective? And that was the basis of my last video of why my system is not necessarily better than an old shamanic, unbroken, chained lineage system, but it's that we are using multiple spiritualities, organized religions, old shamanic cultures, everything, every deity there ever was, and finding the as above, so below, the correspondences, using our own rules, the hermetic principles, vibration, gender, polarity, all is mind, as above, so below correspondence, frequency, I can't remember the rest, but I think there's only like one or two more I forgot. And those things are just abstract views of how this works. So the magicians, the witches, the sorcerers, the shamans, the whoever, over time, were trying to use magic as a science. But the reason it's not, in my opinion, the reason it's not a verifiable science anymore is because it's ruled by things like astrology, by personal mindset, meaning everybody's performing this shit, but depending on your beliefs, some things will play out, some things won't. Some things will play out differently for you than they will for me because they're different beliefs. If I believe what I'm going to write on that candle is going to completely happen, then it's going to completely happen. If you write the same thing on that candle and you think you're only worthy about half of the money, well, then you're going to get half the money, you know? Things like that. Or if you have the programming saying, yeah, what you're doing is of the devil, well, your subconscious is quite going to say, no, we are not going to be evil, because you associate the devil with evil. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So just the astrology alone, being that the bigger planets take a long time to go through signs, sometimes lifetimes, you know, it's hard to keep track of that, especially with the technology they had way back then. Now, we'd be more likely to be able to actually keep track of magic. It still has way too many variables to really be able to prove, but we're more likely to be able to do it now than they were back then. But that's why there are things, alchemy, which is not quite the same, but astrology, you know, they kind of sound like chemistry, biology, well, physics is a little bit different, but you know what I mean? They kind of sound like those things. It's because they are sciences. But I thought that was interesting that he said this guy created astrology, and he didn't have a guru to do it. And that's what I kind of meant that one time. Well, somewhere down the line, where this stuff started, someone intuited it. And now some people can learn like that, some people can't. I'm not claiming that I'm getting my knowledge directly from Jupiter. But what I do claim, what I've said often, is I do a candle. every fucking day, for every god of the week. Today's the moon, so I'm going to put Moon, I'm going to put Aradia, I'm going to put Diana, I'm going to put Artemis, I'm going to put potentially Isis, and even the Virgin Mary on that candle for the names that I'm offering to this, for all those deities that everybody has put power and belief in from every different culture, past, present, future, all the energy that are in these beings to give me what I want. And if that's knowledge, if that's the ability, because the moon is your subconscious mind. The moon is, when the sun's up, conscious, the subconscious is down, right? And when the sun is down, well, the subconscious is up. That's why we sleep. And when you sleep, you're unconscious, are you not? So if I want to have a better link to there, I write on a candle that I'm thankful to all those deities for allowing me to have a strong connection with my subconscious mind, or cross-communication from my subconscious to my conscious. I'm grateful that they are able to speak to me in a very low conscious state so I can get the information. Something to that effect. And it works. And on Tuesday, Mars. Well, and you can go by your chart. So where's Mars, and what is Mars supposed to do for you in your chart? That's something you like. You thank him for giving you that knowledge, and then maybe that happens. Or if you just need to start taking action, well, then you just start taking action. Sorry, I'm not feeling too great, but that's not why I'm not at work right now. One of the machines broke down. I forget when, it was Friday or Saturday, so he never let me know where to go. So I went to bed last night not knowing where to drive to in Ottawa today, and then I messaged him asking what the hell is up, called him, I had no answer, and then he finally messaged me back saying, well, I have today off, I start tomorrow, and that's why. And then he gave me the address, so I get an extra day off, so that's cool. But so between those three placements, you can kind of see why I have this need to not attack, but try to correct someone like the Thunder Wizard when he comes after my religion. So from the Mars and Capricorn, and defending my personal beliefs, and defending my personal guru that is not necessarily a physical guru, and using the organization, and see, this is where he's wrong, using that, that Saturn energy in Sagittarius to prove my points. You kind of get where I'm coming from. And this is how I learned my astrology. Now, I don't know much about astrology, but I know enough to interpret my own, and I know enough to use the planets and what they correspond to do magic. And that's all I need to know at this time, because I'm not doing charts. And I would suggest doing the same thing. Get your chart, look everything up, and go from there. But anyways, I think that's about enough for right now. I'm going to play the last part of my podcast, and if I have more to add to that, then I'll come on after that. So, yeah, check out your chart and do the same thing I did. You don't have to use the same people I use. KRS Astrology, Divine Venus now, but it used to be Alyssa, Trahan, I can't say her last name. Her older videos are top notch. Her newer videos are good too, but there she starts to get into more ideas, philosophies, politics, and stuff like that, which is great. But I don't want your vision of her to be skewed before you check out her astrology stuff. Now, she's tropical versus KRS is Vedic. I also use Astrolada astrology. She's Vedic as well. There's a few more, I can't think of them. Lydia Pisces or Lydia something, I can't remember what. But anyways, go with your gut. You're going to see them there, and you're going to have this feeling as soon as you look at them. Go with the one that tells you, this is the one for me. Anyways, have yourselves a great night. So we got Alright, let me get situated in my car here. Oh shit. Oh, so that was my newest episode. Well, it was my intro I made. My improvised intro I made yesterday morning on my way to do my morning routine. And then it was everything else. I decided to say, you know what? I don't just want to add an intro and then just play my video. I want to actually, make more. So, even though I had an extremely busy day yesterday, I
decided to continue to make more. So that's what you were just hearing. I think it turned out pretty good. So today, I ended up I put a little bit more at the beginning of this episode, and it was about the statement of closer you get to the light, the bigger your shadow gets. Which is why, I mean, to me, this means so many different things, actually. So I can't just say to me it means one thing. But right now, using not my intellect or opinions or speculating or just trying to have some kind of agenda, the first thing that came to my mind was depolarization. And the training of depolarization is to get you to be in the middle on most of the stuff. So the reason why depolarization is one of the things you do during the initiation phase. See, anybody who, if they glanced at the book and seen, they don't have to like that we use the God names, or maybe you don't even like the fact that maybe it was made by people not that long ago, on like a unbroken lineage. But if you look at it, it's the wisdom. It's still the same wisdom being taught in a different way. See, that's one thing I've come to realize, is that this knowledge will never die. Whether they burn all the witches, they burn all the witches, they burn all the libraries, they actively come in our communities and, infiltrate spirituality and start off by trying to give you half-truths and then spin it so that you end up becoming against this very thing you're trying to learn about. Doesn't matter how much and how often they do that, or how much they try to do that, they will only gain the following of, and it's mean to say, but the swine, the people that aren't meant for this knowledge anyways, or at least not meant for it at this time. And I truly believe part of anyone's initiation period, their hypothetical neophyte grade into, what do you want to call it, new age or spirituality or whatever the case is, if you get to the first part where you're trying to open your Saturn chakra, and this is like, for me it's not, does your Saturn chakra actually open? I think so. But more psychologically, what happens is you are faced with your own programming. It's time for you, and one thing I actually do agree with Thunder Wizard on, well, one of many, there's a lot of things I agree with him on, by the way, but besides, it's about growing up. It's the root chakra. Well, you need strong roots so you can grow. If you don't have strong roots, well, the tree isn't going to last, right? So that makes complete sense, and that's where I got that from him. And when I add that to what I've been saying, so this is something, I just added that to the growing up part, but I guess it was kind of implied, maybe somewhere underneath when I would say you're going to be faced with fear-based media and you're going to be put in fear. So Saturn, Satan, the Grim Reaper, Father Time, your dad you're trying to please, that's your root chakra. And to get past it, I think one thing that's associated with it, and this is why astrology is not necessary, but it's definitely something that will help you. Seeing where your limitation is in your chart is going to very much help you with potentially your root chakra opening. But I think that's like to graduate or evolve above. Now, this is my speculation, so this is not like something that's taught or anything like that. Because I think when you go through fear-based media, and it's time for you, okay, you're a man now, you're on your own, you was a family, and for a while, maybe you were, and this is how I feel my life was going. I was in a sort of daze. I picked this girl, she's got 2 kids, we decided to have 2 more, well, we had 3 when we got married, and then we decided to have 1 more. And then it wasn't until I stayed home with my 4th child and stopped working, because while I was in the work, while I was in the grind and all that, I was just going non-stop on this kind of airplane mode, on this kind of autopilot mode, just going through my life. And then that's whenever, before I left that job, right before I got to stay home with my wife, when I got to stay home, around the same time I got to stay home with my daughter, before I left that job, I got in trouble at work, a bunch of things were happening wrong, and that's when I found fear-based media. That's when I started looking into Illuminati and reptilians and all the chemtrails and flat earth, globe earth, and we never went to the moon, and vaccines and chemtrails, I don't know if I already said that, and hollow earth, and the government and eating babies and all this shit. And for a while, I was believing in most of it. I was going with it. I thought it was real. And it started making me a huge victim, which was kind of detrimental to my job at the time. Because, had I not thought that, I would have just not thought my job was part of this big conspiracy and whatever else. Then, I leave that job, I get fired, I did a bunch of new age, law of attraction shit to stay home. It worked, but I lost my job. I didn't bind down the action saying not to lose my job. The ultimate goal was to start working from home. So I guess I really did imply it pretty thick. So I wanted $10,000, I wanted a second vehicle, I wanted to stay at home, I wanted to be able to keep paying a mortgage, blah, 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 blah. All those things happened, but it took all a while to manifest. But that was my first real success. And I went back to work after having a bunch of time off when I realized I actually manifested that. It wasn't too long after that I found ceremonial magic and then started really diving deep into as much different deities and witchcrafts and all this different lore and mythologies and everything. Then I started becoming ceremonial witchcraft, and I am where I am now. But if it wasn't for finding that fear-based media, none of this shit might have started. And the problem is some people hit fear-based media and they replace watching the regular TV where they know they're watching TV and they know it's fake. Now, their subconscious mind may not know it's fake, and that's the dangerous part. You know what I mean? That's what's dangerous. But more dangerous than that is people watching YouTube believing in that fear-based media. So, it's said that if you consciously believe it, well then it kind of blocks you from getting into the subconscious mind, in a manner of speaking. So if you can consciously think that you're going to be rich one day, but you're poor right now. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. However, through saying an affirmation over and over and over again, that being your action, and then visualizing and using emotion, you can actually say that you already are rich, and eventually you will become rich. And it's because of not just saying those words isn't just some magical thing. It's the fact that you visualize yourself being there, and you use emotion, which is the electricity, to put yourself there. That's what's missing from, the whole affirmation spiel. It's like trading in your negative self-talk and all the thoughts that you'll never be rich one day and all the bad things you say about yourself. It's a way of trading that shit in for something you want. So yeah, in a sense, positive affirmation is something that you don't think you can achieve. So you say it over and over and over again until you actually start believing that you are worthy of having that thing. So when Thunder Wizard, I really got to stop. But I like using him to compare to teach, because he says affirmations are the things that you don't think you're worthy of, or you have, or you can be. It's like the opposite of what you are. Which, in this realm here, opposites attract. That's a law here in this realm. Like attracts like, that's a law, but it's a spiritual law. It's what happens on the spiritual plane. It's like attracts like. So what's in the astral will likely come down here in the mundane, but it's a spiritual thing. So whenever you're thinking about, when you're at your altar and affirmations, that's where it's kind of weird, but when you're at your altar and you're in the cosmos, you are attracting the thing you want to bring to you, or you are pushing away the thing you want out of you. But it's like you're on the same page there. So like attracts like. So you are so grateful that you are already rich, and because you're doing it in a spiritual setting, you're in your mind, you know what I mean, you're wishing this thing to happen. Basically it comes down to what I said, you're putting so much energy in the astral that you're creating it. But you have to use your avatar, your body down here in coordination. So that's the physical element. You're using your physical body, whether that's mentally in your head, but you're still using your physical body in a manner of speaking, right? Because like the incense is a sign of air, and the candle flame is a sign of fire, your water cup's a sign of water, but then the wax melts and it turns into water. But wax is an earth thing, but and then there's air going into that fire, right? And the wick. So point is, by that, is that even though the sign, the wand or the incense is a sign, a symbolic representation of air, it's still a physical thing in our physical realm. So that's what you are as well. You're a physical thing in this realm. So that's why those four things. So to bring stuff into the material, you have to use your material avatar, and then you have to take the thought that you want, and you have to use some kind of action, symbolic action, to impress on your subconscious mind, and then you put so much emotion into that bitch to charge it up. Cleanse, consecrate, charge. and then it becomes something that stays in the physical realm. So that's something I wanted to mention there.
Do you know where Mars? Never mind. So you think.
So anyways, the point of saying all that right now, oh fuck, and I can't even go back to see if I fucking got it right or not, but the point I'm trying to get at here is the reason why I guess affirmations and magic works is because, I was doing the like attracts like symbolic, or the comparison correspondence, why like attract like is a spiritual truth, and it's done in a spiritual setting, but in this realm, opposites attract. So, and you can say, well, I don't know if that's true. It's like, well, within your body, you have male and female, you have positive and negative. Within your brain, you have the female and male as well. Two people that get married are generally male and female. And if it is two females, well, one's more like a male, one's more like a female. Same thing with the two males. Our electricity, positive and negative. You got the female, and then you put the cord, you plug it in, right? Copper fittings, I already said electricity, nails, putting stuff together, screws. There's a whole bunch of different things that I can call on to tell you that, opposites attract in this realm. And that's just the way it goes. When you have two people that maybe are hard-headed or very much alike, well, that's kind of like attracts like, but they kind of repel. Two magnets that are the same charge push each other away. But two magnets that are the opposite charge pull each other to each other, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. So when someone says affirmations don't work because it's something that you're not and you don't think you're worthy of, or you don't think you can be, something to that effect, right? And that is true. And by using, my one son just left, so, and his big brother's going with him, I guess, to see if, his kids are around here somewhere. So I'm kind of looking around to make sure, see if I should go too, and just kind of creep behind. Anyways, I'll take care of that in a second, but, so, by you not being that thing, and you continuously saying it, you're using the hermetic principles. Once again, you're using the law of gender, using the law of polarity, you're using as above, so below, you're using it's the law of correspondence, you're using the all-mind principle in the way that we are all in the mind of God, meaning we have inherent capabilities, and we have powers that our Creator has given to us. We are not the Creator, we are a part of a Creator, is kind of what the all-mind is. It's basically, we are all one, and there's some being having a dream right now, we're within that dream. So because of that, we can't really just wake them up out of the dream, so we stop doing this, or we can't poof, Harry Potter style magic and make it happen. But what we can do is these little techniques and tricks that people have recorded, whether it's way back when, or it's maybe hidden in the Bible or other spiritual books, or it's in things like the Kabbalion or the Emerald Tablets, or it's just intuitive knowledge that you get. But opposites attract on this plane. So whenever you were trying to become rich and you're not rich, well, you start saying it every day until you fucking believe that. So you're using like attracts like in a spiritual sense in your mind, within your thought process, which the mental plane and the astral plane are like magical planes where like attract like works. But within this physical realm, you're using the law of opposites attract, right? So you see where I'm going with this. So this is why this does work. If you can get past if I believe in that, people are going to think I'm stupid and gullible and this and that. It's like, well, if you don't understand everything I just said about the hermetic principles, then, if I didn't understand that, then I'd probably think the same way, that, maybe I'm going to be perceived as gullible if I believe in something stupid like that. How could that work? But that's how that can work. It's those laws that us magicians use that we're kind of governed by. That's how that shit works, and that's why it works. Within what I just said, you're not rich right now and you want to be rich. Well, here's the thing. The law of vibration is the pendulum swing, is it not? I talk about that one quite often. It's the only constant in life is change, and everybody knows that motherfucker's true, which means you can start going from worse to even more worse, or you can take control and go from poor to rich. It's up to you. There's a pendulum swing in everything, And if right now, where you're at, you start dwelling on like, oh, like, fuck, I'm in such a bad situation. Well, guess what? You're putting focus and energy into something that is really bad. You are continuously focusing on what's bad. And whatever you want to think it is, whether it's creating it on the astral by putting energy into it, whether it's getting symbolic representations in your subconscious mind, or using your negative self-talk as an affirmation and saying it for more than 21 days in a row of how shitty your life is, well, you are going to take that pendulum and you're going to push it more the opposite way until it can't go any further, and then it's going to come back. So you're going to go from really shitty to not so bad. Till, that not so bad is going to be like your good point. You're going to wake up 50 years later working a job still paycheck to paycheck and wondering where it all went wrong. And that's on a good day. And on a bad day is when you think you're not going to make rent, maybe you have to move again because you got kicked out of your house, or, you just bought a bottle when you shouldn't have bought a bottle, and then all of a sudden you're doing coke and fucking people you shouldn't be hanging out with, and you lost your wife. You know what I mean? You get to choose where your pendulum goes by studying the hermetic principles and putting them into practice like this. This is why I come out here and I talk about it. I try to use correspondences in a practical way for people to understand these things, because reading the book is one thing, but until you put it in practice and you see how it played out after in your life, it's really hard to understand it. So using opposites attract, right? You can understand the law of rhythm within, whether it's your financial, your love life, or whatever. If you want to focus on all bad shit, well, at some point, you created your left and your right, or your positive, your negative, or your female and male, whichever fucking extremes you want to think about it. But you created the one that's all the way to the right, one that's all the way to the left. And you get to pick that. But until you know how the choice is done, how you signify symbolically to that part of you how to choose, you know what I mean? So the part of you, which is probably the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind, or whatever deity you believe in, or whatever the case is, you have to show symbolically that part of you, which keeps manifesting your reality as you go. You have to show that part of you, okay, this is my really good point, this is my really bad point. Well, if, I'm having a hard time right now, but so you're having a shitty time in life, and all of a sudden you start focusing on how shitty it is, and it gets so fucking bad, and you're getting ready to maybe, I don't know what, commit suicide, start doing drugs or whatever, and then maybe someone talks to you and says, okay, well, here's a good thing, you're at rock bottom, it can only go back this way. So then you allow it to go back, and it starts going back to where it was, which isn't as bad as where you went, and then maybe you're around some negative people again, or you're just having a bad day, and you start fucking going again, like, oh, fuck, my life is so shit, I never can get a break, because you think that you should just magically get $1 million, or maybe you curse being, or you don't know how this goes, or you don't really change your ways, you know what I mean? So, and then you just keep going back from that really bad place to the not so bad place, instead of using something like affirmations and saying something over and over to yourself until you fucking believe it, so that you can make the two opposites attract, because poor and rich are the same fucking thing, they're just two extremes. It's a measure of money, how much money you have. Some people might say it's a status, some people might say it's whatever, but whether you're poor or rich is in the eye of the beholder. So, to me, rich is having all my bills paid with a little bit extra money if me and my wife have to do something, but ultimately being able to, for me and her to, go out for drives, talk, have sex, have enough food in the house for the kids, and have all the bills paid, breathing room, gas in the car. That's, to me, that's a great point. If that could be every day of my life, well, that would be perfect. Okay, extra money is always awesome, but ultimately you just buy extra things, or you end up upgrading, or whatever the case is. And not having enough is when, well, there's a few bills behind and we're getting cut off, or maybe they want to take our car, or they're claiming to come to our house or something like that. Well, that's when it's bad. But no matter what happens, whether I get a fucking bill saying if I don't pay it soon they're going to repossess my car, or everything's paid off and we have extra in the bank, I have the same mindset. That's kind of the point. Now, once again, it's easier to be happy when everything's going good, and it's harder to be happy when everything's going bad. But if you can not focus on things when the inevitable change, the inevitable pendulum swings the opposite way, when you can not focus on how shitty things are, and you can just remember that things will change, and potentially you can start focusing on, well, when they do change, what am I going to do? And if there is something here that I caused for this time to be so shitty, then can I change that? And then this way, you can keep, whenever you swing back, well, you won't swing back so far to the bad side, because you changed something about yourself that didn't allow you to go even further that way. So guess what happens? You don't go as far this way, and then you go even farther the better way. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I know it's very hard with, not being able to see where I'm moving, but these are the Hermetic principles, and the Hermetic principles are within the proper procedure of affirmations. They're in the proper procedure for ritual magic. And we can argue all day long about whose tradition's older and all that, and that's awesome. I love learning about older traditions and seeing what the people did. But they haven't had as many years to cultivate and come up with what works, what doesn't work, you know what I mean? So I don't want to speculate on something I don't really know. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But what I do know, come up with what works, what doesn't work, you know what I mean? So I don't want to speculate on something I don't really know. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But what I do know is that the knowledge that the books and the system that I use has been tweaked by so many people and added to and discarded with, and I even do that within myself. The things that I need and what I learn from other people, I add to it and I take away from it where I can, till I got this practice that works for being able to manifest what I want, to be able to come in contact with this part of me, call it the higher self, call it the subconscious, the unconscious, but it tells me things as I need to know them. Like, for example, if I was to ask or do tarot or something like that for if such a YouTuber is a fucking fraud, well, I would get the answer. Now, that's a whole different thing if I'm going to come out here and tell you point blank or not, but I've done it. Anyways, if anybody wants to know the answer to that question, send me a fucking comment and I'll let you know. But point of all this is not to insult, it's not to do anything. I guess I'm really trying to overstate the point, because I really think the system's a great system for people to be able to transform their life. And because, think of it as this, okay? Whether it's a person that saved your life, it's a book that saved your life, it's your marriage, your dog, whatever the circumstance. Let's say you were about to die and something saved you. And then somebody comes out here that you watch, that you listen to, and then they start to say, not through first-hand experience, because first-hand experience is different. So, like, if someone saved me, but were a complete dick to somebody else, and they show me the scars where they got hit, it's like, well, okay, wonder, I'm going to be a little, well, what the fuck should I do with that? Like, they really like me, but they seem kind of harmful to this person, right? But they don't have that first-hand knowledge, and they state that, and they come out here and they try to slice it up, and to me it looked like scarcity and just trying to take value so people like his system better. And once again, it's his soapbox to sit on, it's his channel, he can say whatever the fuck he wants. And this is why I do this on my channel, because I can say whatever the fuck I want on my channel. But to me, it'd be the equivalent of, somebody like my wife, for example. I love her, and in a manner of speaking, she stopped me from doing drugs. When we were getting married, I had to quit, or else she was leaving. She was going to leave me. And she didn't want to leave me, and I could see it in her face that she loved me to death, but she couldn't stay with somebody while raising 3 kids, and then a 4th, who is on drugs. It's like she intuitively no, people become their parents, and if their parents are drug addicts, well, I don't want my kids to become that, and, she doesn't want that exposed, and it's not healthy, and among a million other things. So, if someone was to come out here and fucking insult my wife and say that she has no worth and she's a piece of shit, well, I'd be very upset with that. And you could say, well, that's programming, and that's I got a response out of you, and that's because of this. It's like, well, yeah, and damn right, we're physical people, and if there's somebody who saved my life and you're going to attack them, well, I'm going to do something about it. Well, when I got pretty low and scared because of all that fear-based media, the Saturn shit I was talking about not that long ago, when I was down in the dumps and worried and I had no job and I didn't know what to do, I found Frater Xavier, and then he promoted the book Cabal and the Great Work of Self-Transformation. And changed my fucking life. I mean, doing that, I read, and from reading I inferred that life lessons were coming, which is life lessons can be as harsh from kids getting diseases to partners cheating on you to me I forget the word when you go back into drugs, but anyways, falling off the wagon, you know, to all these little hard parts of life, death, losing people, you know, all these little, I knew that was part of it, and I signed up for it anyways. And I'm not going to say the last fucking, I checked the other day on Spotify, I checked, and it said since I've been making stuff since 2015, which, I don't know, that doesn't seem likely, but I could be wrong, it could be 5 years right now, I don't fucking know, but, well, it would be 5 years, it would be at 5 years plus now. I think it said July 2015, but I'd have to double check that. But point is, if it wasn't for this, I don't know if I would have made it out of that dark place. I don't know if I could have stayed off the drugs. I don't know if I could have. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have found out that all that shit wasn't true. See, once I started watching Frater, first it was the Higher Self channel, and then Ralph Smart and all that. I found those guys, and they really helped me out. They got me out of that dark place. But I still believed that there was dark, but then I believed that there was light as well. You know what I mean? So, and then I found Frater, and he taught me depolarization through the Book of All Great Works. So, big kudos to Liam Thomas Christopher, but
sorry about that, everybody. I'm using my kid's tablet, and yeah, bullshit. My bad. Sorry about that. Hopefully, they don't fucking keep calling.
I found those guys, and I got through depolarization, doing the initiation, and removing certain programmings, and grounding every fucking day, and doing these exercises, and stop taking this external stimuli that, keeps perpetuating the programming. You know what I mean? Like, you're told all your fucking life that you gotta get married, have kids, have a wife, work a job, retire, kids go to college, all that shit. And then you watch these movies, that's what happens in the movies, so they just keep perpetuating that. Which, nothing wrong with that. I'm doing the married life. And I'm out here to kind of say that you can do the married life, plus follow your bliss and make it profitable. But that's what the TV does. And, cancers, well, they keep perpetuating that people keep dying of cancers. And now you watch TV and they got masks on. And it's just... So you knock all that shit off, and then you come to this realization that, okay, well, nothing is as it seems, and that's okay. And, you're not in the right, you're not in the left, you're not up, you're not down, you're not cold, you're not hot. You're in the fucking middle, as much as you can be. You might lean more to one side than the other. You might be a little more up than down, and you might be a little more male than female, but for the most part, you got all these energies within you, and it's all around you, and it's a matter of perspective. So whether you're poor or rich is up to you. Whether you have love or you're unlovable is up to you. And whether you're a light being or you're really close to that light, or you're in the middle, is up to you. You can be in the middle where the light and the dark are perfectly evenly balanced, the way they should be. And once again, that could be like a 60-40. It could be evenly balanced. No one said 50-50 has to be evenly balanced. No one fucking said that at all. Maybe that's part of the trick, is finding what the balance is for everything. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to keep rambling on, and I got shit to do, and I got a fucking job to start tomorrow, so I'm going to let you go with all that. But I hope you enjoyed it once again, and yeah, that's my little improvising fucking live shit at the end here. So yeah, any questions, any comments, fucking shoot them at me, I don't care. And most likely I'll talk about it, because I normally do. And that's the good thing about this job, driving to and from Ottawa every day, unless I end up having to drive somebody to and from work. But I'll have plenty of time to record. My favorite spot to record is definitely in the car. So anyways, let's meet up again the next time I decide to come live and fucking do this thing all over again and learn about some witchcraft and some magic and what to do and what not to do. Anyways, have a great fucking day.
Chez Mazda, depuis 100 ans, c'est vous qui nous inspirez à aller toujours plus loin. Le Mazda CX-5. Nous vous transportons, vous nous propulsez.
Typical Gamer here with your daily YouTube live streams and more. And today for you, I am super stoked to bring you an awesome stream. I got a duo stream here. I'm going to be playing with Logic. You guys know who Logic is, alright? He's dropped a bunch of awesome tracks. Really cool dude. I met up with him.
Sorry about that, everybody.
You guys know who Logic is, alright?
So I was outside putting up Christmas lights, playing my videos from my own video from YouTube, because you can kind of tell I could never actually.
50% of Queensland
sorry.
are down.
Holy fuck, man. Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, that call that came through on my daughter's tablet was from my daughter at her friend's house. Anyways, this is a double episode. This is the second episode. So, but yeah, I'm outside putting lights on and I'm hearing these commercials come on. So I figured the YouTube picked up. So that's about all I have to say. That's all I had to say. I've already said the beginning part was my newest video on YouTube, and the last part was my second oldest video on YouTube. I already got a copyright claim for the first one, so that's fucking fun. But anyways, so since this is a podcast, and the podcast has been longer than YouTube videos, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of what my next YouTube video is going to be about, and then my podcast is going to be about. And as I explained in the first part of this video, I used Thunder Wizard's old video where he was blaming the universe for his circumstance. And I said that if you blame the universe or anybody else for your circumstances, especially if you're a spiritual teacher, a guru, you don't fucking know anything. And the very slight chance that you know that the universe is inside you, therefore you can affect the universe. So by contrast, if you are trying to teach people how to speak to the universe, well, it's basically trying to teach people how to speak to themselves. Okay, that's the important part. And what my next video is going to be about, since I am telling you guys that you are the universe, you're a part of the universe, you have the 7 planets within you, as the universe above you has as well within it. So you are a universe. Therefore, if you can successfully talk to the part of you, then you can change your reality that way. The next video, what it's going to be about, is simply going to be why I think we're in this time of... 1 second. Sorry about that. My wife was looking for the tablet. Why I think we are... How am I going to put this? So, the newest video by Thunder Wizard was actually very, very well. I really liked it. And he may have shit on, I think, Western Magic once in there or something to that effect. But for the most part, most of the things he said were very much in line with the things I said that he should no longer do. And it really seemed like he was making an effort to not do those things. So, I spoke in reality, and then it happened. This is what I'm trying to talk about. But within that video, he said something to the effect of, what age are we in? Are we in the golden age, Kali Yuga? And I forget the ages names that he mentioned, so forgive me for that part. But He doesn't know. Technically, he said if you listen to some Vedic astrologers, they'll tell you we're in this age where people can just speak things into existence, or we're in the age where we're the furthest from the light, from the all, from God, and we have to be more physical. And what I received yesterday, whenever I was talking about this stuff, I didn't include it in my episode because I didn't want to go off on that more than what I was talking about. But what I received at the same time as everything about the universe being inside you, and how that's how you can tell if someone really isn't that far along as a teacher, if they blame the universe or think of the universe as a separate being than themselves, which, that's like where you start. You start thinking the universe is something you have to affect, but then you realize that the universe is inside you, and all you have to do to affect the outside universe is affect your inside universe. And then from there, you can affect everything and anything, from the people around you to everything in reality. But while I was doing that, what came to me was we had the last 2,000 years to prepare for where we are today. So the reason we have the internet as fast as it is, and I mean, there's many reasons. This is not just some yes, no, right, left, fucking linear concept. But the point is, we have the communications right now to get this information around the world faster than ever before. And if we fully take advantage of how we can teach each other how to affect our universe by talking to the universe within us, universe inside you, good channel it used to be anyways. If you can affect that universe inside you, you can affect your reality. If you affect your 7 planets within you, you affect the 7 planets without you and all around you and all the people within you. We are in that time right now. And I said that. If you go to my Age of Aquarius podcast, it's exactly what that's about. The Age of Aquarius, to me, is coming to the realization that we can all speak into a reality, which we could do from the get-go. But now we're actually aware of it. And some people may mock it. Some people might want to believe it and say they believe it, but really don't believe it. But it's fucking true. And that's what we're coming into right now as we speak. So that's what my next video is going to be about. So I don't know when that's good bitch is going to be up, because I doubt I'm going to have time to record it today. So it might be a couple days if I decide to record it on the road tomorrow the way to work. But it's going to be about why that is and all the symbolism I use to get these instructions into my mind. Whether I'm banishing something or I'm bringing something to me, doesn't matter. Whatever I decide to do, I'm going to give you all the symbolism, all the formulas that I use to affect my universe, thus the universe around me and the people's universes around me, aka my reality. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for checking this out. This is a double episode, but I hope you enjoyed it, and have yourselves a great fucking day.